Ever wonder why Asians automatically throw up peace signs the moment they see a camera, while Westerners act like smiling in photos is some kind of personal failure? It's not just about different poses, it's about completely different philosophies on what photos are supposed to accomplish. And honestly, once you understand the psychology behind these habits, you'll never look at group photos the same way again. Let's break down this fascinating cultural divide. When Asians see a camera, it's like an automatic reflex kicks in. Peace signs go up, heads tilt slightly, and genuine smiles appear like magic. Meanwhile, Westerners see that same camera and immediately shift into too cool for school mode, with subtle smirks or serious expressions that scream, "I definitely didn't try for this photo." Picture this scenario. You're at an international gathering, and someone suggests a group photo. The Asian participants immediately start arranging themselves, peace signs ready, making sure everyone looks happy and harmonious. The Western participants reluctantly participate, but half of them are doing that weird half-smile thing where they're clearly trying not to look like they care about the photo. The result? A picture that looks like two different species accidentally ended up in the same frame. Or consider social media posting habits. Asian social media feeds are full of bright, cheerful photos with clear poses and obvious happiness. Everyone's making heart shapes with their hands, doing cute expressions, and genuinely looking like they're having fun. Western social media feeds look like everyone's constantly caught off guard by cameras, with candid shots, artistic angles, and expressions that suggest deep contemplation about the meaninglessness of existence. Even the technical approach differs completely. Asians will spend time getting the lighting right, making sure everyone's in frame, and taking multiple shots until everyone looks good. Westerners often prefer that authentic, slightly blurry, poorly lit aesthetic that suggests the photo just happened naturally, even though they probably took 15 versions to get that perfect accidental look. But here's where it gets really interesting. These aren't just different aesthetic preferences. They're completely different approaches to how you present yourself to the world. Asian photo culture is basically saying, I want to share joy and connection. Western photo culture is saying, I want to appear effortlessly interesting. Think about the underlying messages. The peace sign isn't just a pose. It's a social signal that says, I'm friendly, approachable, and positive. It creates an atmosphere of warmth and inclusion. Even if you're having a terrible day, the peace sign photo creates a moment of shared happiness. Western serious photo poses send a different message entirely. They suggest depth, individuality, and authenticity. The message is, I'm too complex and interesting to reduce to simple happiness. It's social signaling through emotional restraint. This creates some hilarious cultural collisions. When Asians travel to Western countries, their enthusiastic photo-taking with peace signs often gets labeled as touristy behavior. When Westerners visit Asian countries, their refusal to participate in group photo rituals gets seen as unfriendly or antisocial. The generational factor makes this even more complex. Older Asians often embrace photo rituals as family bonding activities. Taking lots of photos with proper poses is how you document important moments and show care for relationships. Meanwhile, many Western millennials and Gen Z treat extensive photo-taking as potentially narcissistic or inauthentic. But here's what's fascinating about the peace sign specifically. It's not actually traditional Asian culture, it's a relatively recent cultural import that became uniquely Asian. The gesture came from Western peace movements, but got transformed into something completely different in Asian contexts. It went from political statement to universal symbol of photogenic friendliness. Western photo culture, on the other hand, has been influenced by decades of candid photography aesthetics. The ideal photo looks unposed and natural, even when it's carefully constructed. This creates a weird paradox where people work really hard to look like they're not trying. The social media algorithms have amplified these differences too. Asian social platforms reward bright, clear, happy content with good engagement. Western platforms often reward more authentic or artistic content that suggests spontaneity. Both sides are optimizing for their respective audiences, but it reinforces cultural differences. Here's what's uncomfortable to acknowledge. Both approaches reveal something about cultural insecurities. Asian peace sign culture might reflect pressure to appear harmonious and socially integrated. Western cool photo culture might reflect anxiety about appearing too eager or emotionally exposed. The business implications are pretty interesting too. Asian marketing photography tends to be bright, cheerful, and clearly posed. Western marketing often goes for that lifestyle aesthetic that suggests the product just naturally fits into your effortlessly cool existence. Both strategies work in their respective markets, but they fail miserably when switched. Travel photography shows this divide perfectly. Asian tourists tend to pose clearly in front of landmarks, creating obvious, "I was here" documentation. Western tourists often prefer artistic shots that suggest they discovered some hidden, authentic experience that regular tourists miss. Both approaches create completely different travel narratives. But here's the plot twist. Maybe both approaches serve important functions. Asian photo culture creates shared positive experiences and strengthens social bonds. Western photo culture allows for individual expression and artistic creativity. Neither is objectively better, but they accomplish different social goals. The really interesting part is how these styles are starting to blur with global social media. You're seeing more Westerners experimenting with cute poses and filters, especially on platforms like TikTok. Meanwhile, some Asian influencers are adopting more candid Western aesthetics for international appeal. This cultural mixing creates some amusing hybrid behaviors. Western people living in Asia often start unconsciously throwing up peace signs in group photos. Asian people living in Western countries sometimes develop that subtle reluctance to appear too enthusiastic in photos. The professional photography world reflects these cultural differences too. Asian wedding photography tends to be bright, clearly posed, and focused on happy expressions. Western wedding photography often goes for that photojournalistic style that captures authentic moments, even though those moments are carefully orchestrated. Here's my controversial take. Both photo cultures are performing authenticity rather than actually being authentic. Asian peace sign photos perform happiness and social harmony. Western candid photos perform effortless coolness and depth. Neither is more genuine than the other. They're just different types of social theater. The real question is, what are photos actually for? Are they supposed to document reality or create idealized versions of our experiences? Asian photo culture leans toward creating positive shared memories. Western photo culture leans toward artistic self-expression. Both valid purposes, completely different executions. Maybe the most interesting thing is how these photo habits reveal deeper cultural values. Asian cultures that emphasize group harmony and positive social interaction naturally develop photo practices that reinforce those values. Western cultures that emphasize individual authenticity and artistic expression naturally develop photo practices that serve those goals. But there's also something beautiful about how both cultures use photography to connect with others. Whether it's the immediate joy of a peace sign photo or the artistic appreciation of a perfectly imperfect candid shot, both approaches create shared experiences and memories. The generation gap adds another layer to this. Younger people globally are developing hybrid photo styles that borrow from both traditions. You'll see perfectly curated candid shots that combine Western aesthetic principles with Asian attention to visual harmony. So here's what I want to know. Which photo style feels more natural to you? Do you automatically smile and pose, or do you try to look casually disinterested? Have you noticed yourself adapting your photo behavior in different cultural contexts? And here's the bigger question. Are we overthinking this, or do these photo habits really reveal fundamental differences in how cultures approach self-presentation and social connection? Is there something we can learn from both approaches? Share your photo-cultural observations in the comments. I'm genuinely curious about whether these patterns hold true in your experience, or if I'm missing important nuances in how different cultures approach photography. If you enjoyed this cultural deep dive, smash that like button, subscribe for more mind-bending cultural insights, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Which culture should I decode next? See you in the next one.